That guy.
Holy cow.
And we said it last week. I'll say it again. He's one of the best receivers in NFL history. Yes. I know he needs a longer career to move up the ranks, but as far as who are the best players to ever play their position, their peak versus peak, he go toe-to-toe with a lot of the all-time greats.
Okay. I think he has not had fantastic quarterbacks.
Well, right.
Good.
No, he makes it great.
Right. He's never had to deal with horrific quarterbacking except for when Cousins got hurt last year.
Right.
But he's never had a season with like
which a lot of
all-pro, 100%.
Yeah. So you ready to believe in the Vikings?
Last week I said all the superhero quarterbacks are in the AFC except for my guy Stafford. I don't think anyone else, and I know you don't Brew, I know you disagree with me about Stafford, that's fine, but just, so then that makes the point even stronger. You know what I mean? That in the AFC, I wouldn't believe that even a team as well coached, as well put together as the Vikings, could win 3 straight playoff games where you're at a disadvantage of the most important position on the field.
Right.
In the NFC, I don't know how big the gap between Sam Darnold with Kevin O'Connor and this team is to the other guy, Jared Goff or Jalen Hurts or the other guys. And so they are incredibly well coached. They have one A triple plus receiver and one A minus receiver in Addison. They overcame the loss to the all-pro left tackle. They absolutely are a very live team.
Well, the comparison to the LSU team, this might not come into play, but Burrow was very doubted at that point. He had been beaten out by Justin Fields at Ohio State, so he transferred. Wasn't special necessarily his first year at LSU, and then all of a sudden he has this great year. I'm not saying Darnold is him, but you know what I'm saying? A quarterback that has been doubted and questioned for years. The thing about Minnesota, coach, and I like him. I mean, I do. My pick is Green Bay. I feel good about that. I like Philly and Detroit better than them. But the one thing about Minnesota, they haven't beaten, like, the elite. They haven't faced most of the elite teams.
Green Bay, right?
Yes. But, most people would not put Green Bay in that top tier. Detroit's beaten them. And then they haven't played Buffalo, Kansas City, or Baltimore. They've beaten Green Bay and Houston. So that's the one thing, like, they haven't really proven themselves.
But the Seahawks were playing for their season.
Can we
and
drill
the
down
Seahawks
a little bit
solid.
further here? So they're on an 8-game winning streak. Mm-hmm. The combined record is 40-65 of the teams they beat, which is a 361 win percentage.
What do you want them to do? Make the schedule?
No, but they're about to play 2 teams with a combined record of 23-6.
Well, they just played a team with a great record. 8-6. A team fighting playoffs.
So
Nick loves Gene.
The two teams that they beat are each over 1 game over 500 in that 8-game streak. But now we're going to play 2 teams that are combined 23-6. So we're going to see whether or not they're for real in the next 2 weeks. Not taking anything away from winning 8 games straight, but it's not like the who's who.
No, that's true. But also, when they played Detroit, it came down to a field goal at the gun. They lost by 2, or a field goal in the last minute. What's up, Wilds?
As you know, it's a segment I'm trying to introduce on the show. Vibe alert. Great vibes out of Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
Great vibes.
But they also had great vibes with Kirk wearing all of Justin's
always
jewelry.
have great vibes.
Yeah, Justin might just create great vibes.
That's true.
And O'Connell. He's a great coach. Yeah.
He's a vibe multiplier.
Yeah, vibe multiplier. Yeah. That's how I consider myself. Put that on my tombstone.
You are that.
Wow, thanks, guys. 250 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, the longest streak since the merger. Josh loves since the merger. There's Joe Burrow just setting records. Should Buffalo be worried if the Bengals get in?
No. Well, Buffalo should be. I don't think the Bengals would win. Although, they played the Chiefs well. Maybe it looks like everybody does, but I would not think Cincinnati could win the AFC.
But do you think they could
Buffalo,
win that?
Yes, because Buffalo's defense is their problem.
Hello.
It would be a shootout, and guess who's got the best weapons? If you say quarterback's a wash, guess who's got the best weapons? Cincinnati by a mile.
But Buffalo has a better defense than Cincinnati.
Yes, but they don't have a defense that's going to stop Cincinnati. Cincinnati would put a ton of points up against them, and Buffalo would just have to outscore them.
They should be really worried because if Cincinnati makes it, that means they've won 5 straight.
Yep.
The last 2 teams they got into the playoffs were essentially playoff teams. Okay, they've got a quarterback that leads the league in touchdowns and passing yards, and it's one of those things where when you go in red hot, and it also means the football gods are with him because all these other teams lost to get him in there. So you're talking about
psychologically
vibes, momentum, and a really dangerous quarterback.
I agree.
It's
so
not
this
great.
is
They could beat Buffalo.
The Buffalo is similar to Kansas City in that their weakness of their defense right now is their back end. And if you have multiple elite weapons, which most teams don't, but Cincinnati obviously does, you're going to be able to move the ball and get them in a shootout. And so the reason we're talking about this, just so the audience understands, is if Cincy can only be the 7 seed, and if Cincy gets the 7 seed, it means that there is no chance Cincy could play anyone in round 1 other than Buffalo, or I guess if Buffalo falls all the way down. But if the Chiefs lose, like if Cincy gets in, they're playing the Bills almost assuredly. That's the matchup, and they can't be playing Kansas City in round 1. So if you're Buffalo, you are certainly rooting against it. Listen, I think Buffalo would be 6.5-point favorites in that game and should feel like they're going to win, but they would be double-digit favorites over Denver, Indy, or Miami. You know what I mean? Those would be shocking losses. This would not be shocking because of the way.
I don't think anybody should want to see Cincinnati in the first round. I know the Chiefs will have to bye, but if I was the Chiefs and I had to play them in the first round, I'd be like, if Baltimore even though they've beaten them twice,
they haven't beat them in years.
They beat them twice, but they were very close games. And are you going to beat them 3 times in a season? You know, like so. They're going to be dangerous.
All right, Nick, you are a resident Caleb guy. Did you like what you saw?
Well, I thought he played well. It depends on who you put that opening drive fumble on. So there was a missed exchange between he and the running back. Was it running back or wide receiver? I don't remember. But it was a running play.
Like he pulled it
but
back.
So I'm not sure whose fault that was. If that was on Caleb, that was a devastating error because you're going to have no chance to beat Detroit, making that type of mistake early. And then there was a fumble by a different player right after, and the game's essentially over immediately. I actually thought Caleb's performance was more of a warning for the Lions because during this losing streak, which is 9 games now, not a small sample, Caleb's numbers against Detroit versus all the other ones lead you to believe either he has Detroit's number or Detroit's defense is very, very gettable. So I don't listen. I think that Jaden has been an A+ rookie. I think Caleb has been as good, if not better, than any of the other rookies. But I did like what I saw from him as much as you can like in a game they get blown out.
I like what I've seen from Caleb. I thought he was good, very good in this game. His accuracy was, it's been up and down, but this game he was on point. And he's thrown some I don't even think you talked about him being too cautious. That's why he doesn't have the interceptions. I don't think he was that cautious in this game. He just played well. Like he seems to have a knack for avoiding the interceptions. And so, look, I think he'll have some things to build on when he goes into this next season, even though they might end on a bad losing streak. He'll at least be able to look at his own play and be able to build on that. So I would not be discouraged if I'm a Bears fan.
Yeah, a lot of good quarterbacks have played on teams that were really bad their first year, and it worked out. But there's so many promising things that he's showing and encouraging things that he's showing, and we can knock him for not turning the ball over, but usually that's something that you have to really work on with young quarterbacks. So I don't think that's a huge flaw that has to be fixed, and whoever goes in there next year should have an opportunity to win a lot of games pretty quickly.
All right. You look at his last 5 games, 1-4, and only scoring about 18 points, 200 yards. This is your guy. Nick, do you think Purdy played himself out of a contract?
I think the Niners are going to make him a cursory offer that they don't expect him to accept. And they're going to offer him something like Baker's. 3 years, $100 million. You've made no money in your career. You want to take it? We'll guarantee, 2/3 of it, $60 million guaranteed. But during the broadcast, they were saying the difference is he going to get top of the market or is he going to just get something like Tua? Tua's $53 million a year. Mm-hmm. I think the Niners would be insane, Brew, it is now a big sample of Brock under less than perfect circumstances, and it's not been good. His numbers this year, we can show it to you. The one thing he has going for him, he has all 8-mile it. His passer rating is higher than Patrick Mahomes'. Everything else is bad. And
the mobility has been good.
I was just saying the numbers. So I don't think this is a good last impression season before you're trying to get $55 million a year, and the Niners are going to have plenty of options, whether it means making him play it out or flirting more with Sam Darnold.
Well, don't you think they'd have to pay Darnold as much as they pay Purdy?
No. I don't think anyone thinks Darnold's going to get $50+ million. Everyone thinks that Purdy's contract's going to be in line with the Lawrence, Tua, those contracts.
See, I think Lawrence and Tua were mistakes. I would have. What you guys know, yes. I'm cautious. And even though I like Brock, and I don't think, even yesterday, I don't think he was terrible. You're down to your 4th-string running back. 4th string, all right? And everybody knows you're throwing the football. He throws for 300 and has, 95 passer rating, 2 touchdowns. But if I'm the Niners, Brock, $45 million a year, 4 years, whatever. And if he doesn't take that, then I got the control. I can see another year of him, and then you got franchise tags after that. So they're not in a rush, but that's what I'm looking at, $45 million a year, which I think is fair. And I actually think Brock will take that. I really do. Okay. Because you're in a great situation. You'll have your guys coming back. I think you'll take that.
Coach, this quote from Kyle Shanahan hit your radar. I'll read it to you about being eliminated from the playoffs. I wasn't aware. But that did nothing with the game. We kind of had that vibe last week. I know it wasn't official, but we understand numbers, so we kind of knew that last week. Why did this hit your radar?
Because we're killing Brock Purdy because we said that his performance isn't very good. But here the head coach is talking about the fact that the whole vibe last week is like we missed the playoffs, and that's exactly how they played as a team. They had 11 penalties. There was one series where it was back-to-back-to-back penalties, which allowed Miami to pick up 25 or 30 yards. And it's to then go and kill him as saying he underperformed when you do have all the injuries. And then the whole mindset organizationally, starting from the head coach down, is, yeah, we're out of it. We're just kind of playing out the string of games. Where you look at the quotes from the Dolphins, and they're talking about fighting and doing everything they can to give themselves a chance. So the fact that the vibe was last week, they didn't find out they were eliminated until before this game.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.